President of Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland, Mr. Patrick Brough, NUI Chancellor Dr. Maurice Manning, President of the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland, Professor John Crowe, Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of RCSI and my namesake, Professor Cathal Kelly, Dean of the RCSI Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, Professor Hannah McGee, RCSI Council members and staff, fellow members of this platform party, all graduating students, and distinguished guests, families, and friends. In accepting the honorary doctorate that RCI has just now conferred on me, I feel greatly honored, greatly humbled, and greatly privileged. Honored that RCSI should recognize in this way the limited contributions that I have been able to make in advocating for more and better education for girls, for a better deal for orphaned children, and for a more coherent response to the AIDS epidemic. Humbled that I should have been singled out from the great number of people worldwide who are dedicating themselves so wholeheartedly to efforts to stem the AIDS epidemic and who see girls' education as central to this. And privileged that I can represent in some way so many thousands of the wonderful people across the world whose lives have been darkened by the shadows of HIV and AIDS, but who have never lost heart. Ladies and gentlemen, graduating students, less than 49 years ago, the great Martin Luther King shared with the world his dream that, among other things, one day his children would live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Dr. King's dream speech inspired his people and transformed the face of the United States to such an extent that less than 4 years ago, the first ever black president was installed in the United States, and he has left us these words: where we are met with cynicism and doubt, and those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people: yes, we can. Ladies and gentlemen, our vision for global health, your vision, new graduating students, for global health, is also a dream which strongly reaffirms that the enjoyment of good health is a fundamental human right, and that in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, the actualization of this right remains a possibility. In the words of Barack Obama, we here at this RCSI conferring ceremony can affirm with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of this great institution: yes, we can. Yes, we can eliminate child and infant mortality and ensure universal vaccination coverage against measles and all the other threatening childhood diseases. Yes, we can roll back the malaria, which affects over 200 million people each year. Yes, we can reduce and eventually eliminate the 9 million cases of tuberculosis that occur each year. And yes, we can reach the global targets of 0 HIV infections, of 0 HIV-related deaths, and of 0 HIV-related discrimination. And we can even address the enormous challenges of neglected tropical diseases which currently affect more than 1,000 million people in the world and thrive in the poorest and most marginalized communities. And so we can ensure the access of all peoples to a level of health care that will help them lead a satisfying, full, and productive human life. Yes, we can do it, and we are doing it. Let me speak for a few moments about my own country, Zambia, where just 3 months ago, the end of March, a team of 9 doctors in a public hospital successfully removed a 14.5 kilo tumor from the back of a young man. Now, of course, the tumor should never have been allowed to grow to such a size. But that it was successfully removed, surely this speaks well for the medical services that a poor, developing country can provide. And in recent years, Zambia has also seen considerable improvements in many of the markers for health care. Significant reduction in child mortality, HIV infection rates falling steadily and substantially among young men and young women. About 90% of the adults who are in need of antiretroviral therapy receiving it, and as a consequence, fewer people dying from this disease. More widespread use of anti-malarial drugs, an increase in the numbers sleeping under anti-mosquito nets, and more widespread spraying of mosquito breeding areas. Indeed, the latter has had one almost amusing outcome. In a high-density township, which was sprayed against the malarial mosquito, they have died, they no longer propagate, but the other mosquitoes propagate much more readily and rapidly. And the people are now saying, oh yes, we no longer get malaria, but neither do we get sleep. But we can do it. We are doing it. We are improving the health provision across the world, but we need to do more, and we need to do it more quickly. We need to do it more quickly for the sake of the millions whose lives are being blighted by preventable ill health. We need to do it more quickly for the sake of our own human integrity, since we have made promises that all too often we honor in the breach rather than in the fulfillment. And for all of this, we need more financial and material resources. We need more civic and political commitment, and we need more human resources. But believing, as RCSI does, that the person is at the center of everything we do, we need a more enlightened priority system that ranks health, education, social services, and job creation higher than bailing out questionable financial institutions, and certainly higher than squandering public resources on doomed investments and extravagant and often corrupt undertakings. And that requires that every one of us here today pulls together to make this a better and more decent world. It means that we become radically committed to eliminating scandalous inequalities in the access of people here and elsewhere to the health care that they need. And it means that we firmly believe that each one of us can make a difference for the better. George Bernard Shaw once said, "Some look at things that are and ask, why? I dream of things that never were and ask, why not?" Distinguished ladies and gentlemen and graduating students, let this conferring day be memorable for the way it motivates each one of us to dream of something that never was, a peaceful, healthy, and more just world, and ask, why not? Why can't I do something to make it so? What must I do to make it so? What more can I do to make this a better and more healthy world? I thank you.